Okay, we'll start with this. A second look at the upcoming Philly show promoted by both Kaylee Reese and Brian Cohen. Cohen Promotions, the undercard. We're going to be seeing a familiar face, a fighter that I've talked about on several occasions, unbeaten up-and-comer at or around Bantam and Super Bantam, Johanna Wonyou.
Of France, based in the United Kingdom, traveling to the United States.
Sporting a professional record of 10 wins with no losses, no draws, 2 knockouts, she will be facing Ecuador's own Josefina Vega, veteran fighter.
40 years old, the Johanna, who's 24.
I've seen enough of Johanna to know that she's going to win this fight, and she's going to win it comfortably. The real virtue of this endeavor is the experience that she gets to take away from it. Traveling to a foreign country on foreign soil in front of a foreign audience, nothing is familiar that if you can operate under these circumstances and stay in character, when things are more your way, if you have a major promoter behind you, winning will be easy. Winning will be a cakewalk.
This is just a stay busy fight.
Against Josefina Vega, who sports a professional record of 9 wins with 9 losses, no draws, 4 recorded knockouts, having been knocked out once in 18 professional bouts. Will Johanna be the next to stop her? Josefina is 0-6 in her last 6 fights. She's on a losing streak.
I'm sure that many of you are asking yourselves, could they have not found someone better for Johanna Wonyou to fight?
And that's the thing, that without a major promotional outfit that has a platform deal, without major money, it's hard to get major opponents. And at this early stage in Johanna's career, she's not supposed to be fighting major opponents in major fights anyway. It's all about experience.
Think about the last 3 girls that Josefina fought. Unbeaten Jasmine Artiga, unbeaten Christina Cruz, and unbeaten Liana Cruz.
For unbeaten up-and-comers like those fighters, facing Josefina Vega is all about getting rounds in the bank, acclimatizing your body to fight for a certain amount of time, and gaining experience. Well, it's the same for Johanna Wonyou. That's what this fight is all about. Experience, development. Johanna Wonyou, who was last in action in March of this year opposite the ring, Kiera Carter. This will be Johanna's second fight of this year, and having seen her in action several times already, I'm confident that Johanna will win this fight comfortably, but this is a necessary evil. You have to stay busy so you can stay sharp.
Till something bigger comes along.
Scheduled for 6 rounds in the Super Bantamweight division, Johanna Wonyou hovers at or around 118 or 122. This fight will be at 122 pounds, where Ellie Scottney reigns as a unified champion.
She has the IBF and WBO titles.
Yemi Mercado of Mexico, she's got the WBC, and Nazarena Romero of Argentina just won the WBA. There are 3 champions at this weight.
And it just so happens that Johanna Wonyou is very good friends with one of them, Ellie Scottney.
Seen those 2 fighters rub elbows with each other on more than one occasion. It's interesting that Johanna Wonyou is coming here to America, to the United States, for her next fight. It's really not necessary because she's based out of the UK. I feel like there are more opportunities for a woman boxer in the UK than there are in the US, but this is still an opportunity.
How?
She's never fought in America before, Johanna Wonyou. I believe she's fought in France, and I know she's fought in the UK, but I don't think she's ever fought in the US.
How is that an opportunity?
Experience. It's all about experience. Fighting in a foreign country, on foreign soil, in front of a foreign audience. If you can stay in character under those circumstances, then doing so in a more familiar environment becomes that much easier. You have to be adaptable in this business, able to work and stay in character in a variety of situations. I think Johanna Wonyou can do that. She's going to beat Josefina. I don't have a doubt in my mind.
She'll win.
See if she doesn't take this as an opportunity to rack up another highlight reel knockout. We'll see, and we'll talk more about the fight as the fight date approaches.
Smoke up there, those guys are big. Let them beat the hell out of each other a little bit before I come up in the way. Let them fight each other, and because I'm not trying to fight all of them. And yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, nah, let's do that, man. Yeah, I don't say that. I don't think that he's ducking any type of smoke, because the type of fighter that Inoue is, like, he's shown plenty of times that he's willing to fight the best whenever he's fitting to fight the best. But, to be honest, he's fought like a lot of tough fights back to back to back at this point.
Right.
But he's more than deserving of, like, just staying at his division that he's in right now, just sweeping the whole thing and then taking a sweet time, bro. Like, he's done more than enough in this sport to say that, yeah, I'm going to take my time before I move up and challenge myself again on that level. So, yeah, no, I don't think that at all. He's a monster, bro, for a reason. And I got nothing but respect for him. But if that fight was to ever happen, it's a dream fight for me. If that fight was to ever happen, shoot, let's do it. I'll be ready. But I'm just more focused on just fighting the featherweight champions right now and just handling everything that I got in front of me. And that's September 27th with Suleiman Sagawa.
Was a sobering take from unbeaten up-and-comer in the men's featherweight division, Bruce Carrington, ahead of tomorrow's super bantamweight contest between Naoya Inoue and TJ Doheny. What is tantamount to a stay-busy fight, a maintenance fight, an easy one for the four-division, two-time undisputed champion. I think he's earned it. So does Bruce Carrington. A fighter, I think.
It's easy to be a fan of Bruce. Inside and outside of the ring. Outside of the ring because of how he carries himself. Inside of the ring because of how he fights.
He's a skillful fighter, but he's a skillful fighter with a fan-friendly style. He's no outside jabber, no sugarfoot fighter staying on the perimeter of the ring, trying to stay out of trouble. He brings the trouble.
He brings the pain.
Be in action very soon on the undercard of the upcoming Mayer versus Ryan fight set to go down in New York City later on this month. Bruce will be on there.
And he didn't trash him.
Didn't take shots, didn't belittle or berate Naoya Inoue for spending a little while longer at 122. He hasn't been there all that long.
Has it been 3 fights?
Consider that Gervonta Davis has been sitting at 135 pounds for the last 5 years. He first moved up there in 2019. He's been there ever since.
5 years.
David Benavidez. How long did David Benavidez sit at 168 pounds before deciding he should move up once, just once, to 175 pounds? How long?
Too long.
Where Naoya Inoue really just got there to 122 pounds. His first fight there was the Stephen Fulton fight last year, then the Marlon Tapales fight, the more recent Luis Nery fight. He's only 3 fights in to his super bantamweight campaign, 3 going on 4, as tomorrow night in Japan, tomorrow morning here in America, he will be squaring off against TJ Doheny.
There's a lot of talk about why Inoue should come to America, that it will further enhance his profile if he bases himself out of here. I would prefer that he stay there. I like Breakfast in Boxing. I like those Japanese shows. I like the schedule that they've been keeping Inoue on. It's not like he's been missing out on any fights that he needs to have or is supposed to have.
He's been fighting who he's supposed to fight. He took care of both super bantamweight champions in just 2 fights back to back. It's not like he's missing out on fights that he needs to have, or it's not like he's missing out on money. He's getting paid something like $6 million, over $6 million, and this guy's a super bantamweight.
Super bantamweights do not make that kind of money. He does.
That's an astronomical number for a fighter at the lower weights. That's an astronomical number for a 122-pound fighter. So if he's not missing out on the fights that he needs to be in, and he's not missing out on money, of what need?
What does he need to come to America for? Americans don't watch super bantamweights anyway.
Not that long ago, the Americans had a unified champion at super bantamweight that they weren't even supporting.
Stephen Fulton.
He was unified champion for a while, and there wasn't much support there, so why would Inoue come here looking for support? If they don't support their own, they won't support him.
Stupid.
It's a lazy criticism levied by those who want to talk him down, but are running out of reasons to, as he's had a very ambitious run, very ambitious career so far. Talk of moving up to featherweight, 126 pounds, where there are currently 4 reigning champions.
I'm not going to beat around the bush. None of those guys at 126 need to be worrying about Inoue right now. They need to worry about each other, unify with each other, fight each other.
That you don't need to be worrying about a smaller fighter that may or may not move up in weight very soon. Why don't you take care of who's there, take out the competition, so if and when Inoue does move up, he'll go straight to you. He won't have anyone else to answer to, anyone else to fight.
It's a common sense argument.
If you want to be a somebody, why don't you make yourself a somebody the same way he did, unifying his divisions, 118, now 122. Why don't you do that at 126? Or is it that some fighters would rather just sit on their hands and wait, playing it safe, hoping to win the sweepstakes?
Do your job.
That's why I appreciated Bruce Carrington's response so much, because not only is it realistic, but it's ambitious. If you're there now, you focus on who's there now. Worry about Inoue later.
There's 4 champions at this weight. Pick one and go.
And the same applies to them. This division has stood divided for years now. I can't remember the last time I saw a unified featherweight champion.
There needs to be one.
I think. There's no excuses for these guys not to fight, not to unify.
No excuses.
No reason not to do it aside from a lack of ambition, and who do you expect to be a fan of that?
Get behind that.
The featherweight division is a deep division unto itself that can provide us with many, many good fights. Mix and match the names, you'll get a good fight every single time.
Waiting for Inoue is not a good enough reason for this division to stagnate. Thankfully, Bruce isn't waiting for Inoue, and the champions, they shouldn't either.
Finally, in men's middleweight or super middleweight news, I'm sure you've heard by now, Jermall Charlo has been charged with a DWI after Lamborghini crash.
What is it about Texas fighters and crashing very expensive sports cars?
Star boxer Jermall Charlo has been formally hit with a DWI charge following allegations he drunkenly crashed his Lamborghini in Texas back in May.
I don't pity him.
It's a wonder that he didn't get himself seriously hurt and or killed, but it's even more of a wonder that he didn't get someone else killed, because reckless driving doesn't just affect the driver who's driving recklessly, it affects every other motorist on the road with them.
Don't expect an outpouring of sympathy from me for a star athlete that gets paid vast sums of cash.
Money that regular Joes like me and you are likely never going to see. Money that they then misappropriate to spend on narcotic substances to then develop a substance abuse problem that manifests when they're behind the wheel.
Well, they said he was drunk, not high.
Same difference, he shouldn't be driving. According to court documents obtained by TMZ Sports, in addition to the DWI, prosecutors also levied a misdemeanor, leaving the scene of an accident charge against Charlo. Court records show officials formally filed the misdemeanor counts against the 34-year-old pugilist on August 20th.
Following in Javante's footsteps, leaving the scene of a crime, a crash?
Or following in Errol Spence Jr.'s footsteps, totaling a very expensive sports car. Pick your poison. Jermall Charlo did. He had that fight with Jose Benavidez.
His comeback fight.
Back in November of last year. Given what's going on, I get the distinct impression he won't be fighting at all this one.
Who cares?
You often hear about the sport of boxing from boxers as being a lifesaver, something to give a troubled youth regimentation and structure in their day-to-day comings and goings to keep them out of trouble, whereas in the case of a Jermall Charlo,
That's not the case.
the old saying goes, idle hands do the devil's work. And if you think about Jermall Charlo the last 3 or 4 years, what has he been if not idle, if not in limbo?
He's had one fight in the last 2, going on 3 years. One fight, just one.
The Jose Benavidez fight, you ask yourself if his people, the ones that are around him, would give him counsel, do more to keep the fighter active and keep the fighter busy, because he is still an undefeated fighter.
Unbeaten in 33 professional bouts.
A 2-division champion, a champion at 154 and a champion at 160, that if he were more active and more focused on his boxing career, he wouldn't have time to crash Lamborghinis. He wouldn't have time to get in trouble. You wonder if the island policy you see at the PBC is why so many of their fighters seem to get in trouble with the law.
Javante, Spence, Brona, Charlo.
Maybe that's an unfair criticism. I mean, after all, boxers getting in trouble with the law is hardly exclusive to the PBC, and that's hardly an isolated incident, though at the same time,
Seems to be a common denominator with their fighters.
didn't all those guys used to be drinking buddies?
Yeah.
I don't pity him. I don't pity a star athlete that's making in excess of 6 figures and sometimes 7 that occupies their time this way. There's nothing to pity, nothing to feel sorry for. These guys are making, or have been making, the kind of money that me and you are never going to see.
He's 34 years old. He's not a child.
Even if he behaves like one, it's all right to have a drink every so often, depending on the decorum, but what you're doing...
His career is over.
I think about a fighter like Jermall Charlo, the Charlo brothers as a package, as a whole, and how so many tried to put these two guys on a pedestal. I don't think they're living up to those expectations. Big Bad Mal Charlo,
The alcoholic.
the Wonyou, and all of their dysfunctional behavior, what has made so many people gravitate towards them, the ones who put them on a pedestal. Was it the boxing or the dysfunctional behavior that you identified with? That these guys are fuck-ups, and so are you.
That's why you like him.
I understand that bad boys in the sport of boxing having run-ins with the law is hardly isolated to the Charlos or the PBC stable. It's not an isolated incident in a very general sense. sense.
No.
But it should not be made synonymous with the occupation either, as there are many successful boxers that are not having run-ins with the law, that are not getting drunk behind the wheel, crashing sports cars, flipping Ferraris, crashing Lamborghinis. Don't make excuses for him, and don't use him being a boxer as the reason.
He's not a fuck-up because he's a boxer.
There are plenty of boxers that are not fucking up, not messing around, taking their career seriously.
He ain't one of them.
He's not a screw-up because he's a boxer. There are many boxers who are not screwing up, the same way there are many private citizens who are not screwing around, and some that are.
You reap what you sow.
So that when a fighter that has made in excess of 6 or 7 figures decides to go messing around, I ain't gonna play him the violin.
If you burnt through all the cash you made, buying jewelry and toys that depreciate in value as soon as you drive them off the lot,
it's your responsibility to manage your money responsibly, develop money management skills, and if at 34 years old you still haven't,
that's on you.
just like your health and well-being,
That's on you.
you're not a baby that needs his diaper changed or his bottle warmed. You're not a child.
But you should be treated like one or thought of as one.
You're a full-grown adult responsible for all your own actions. And if this is what you're doing, get this guy off the road and make sure he don't get back. I don't care. This may be the last that we see of Jermall Charlo, the unbeaten fighter, the unbeaten former champion.
Squandered potential?
Or just another souped-up American hype job that couldn't live up to his reputation. Whatever it was.
And how he got it.
The PBC stable is still thinning out. What fighters have not jumped ship to go to other promotional outfits to box on other platforms, what remains? Well, that isn't very much either. Will Errol Spence Jr. ever box again? Will Jermall Charlo? Will Jermall Charlo?
Well, this finished.
I think Ruiz is gone. He's taken up permanent residence on Riyadh season shows.
How is the PBC stable holding up in 2024? It's not looking good.
When it rains, it pours. Those 200 individuals, those 200 fighters that Al Heyman funneled from Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions to what became his PBC, which one of them did he turn into the next Floyd Mayweather? Not Jermall Charlo, that's for sure.
That so many people thought Al Heyman was the architect of Floyd's success.
And not the promotional outfit that built him, that groomed him, Top Rank.
Time always tells the story.